Now, Prime's first intention is to find some sources of radiation, consume it, and then find somewhere to lay some new eggs. Possibly more male Mutos in this alternative timeline. Gojira will possibly sense this threat, and what will his first action be? Surprisingly, he will not ignore it. Instead, he will go right after this threat. However, this does not mean he immediately fights the queen, and the Muto Prime and the female Muto. Instead, let's say he from distance, monitors the Mutos and sees what he's up against. At this point, he's up against a hulking, very angry parasite. Gojira, whereas his instincts tell him that he needs to get stronger, he needs to buy more nuclear power plants. Or more powerful sources of radiation. And that's what Gojira does. He does exactly that. He goes around all over the world, absorbs many nuclear power plants, growing and becoming more powerful. At this point, now Gojira is 120 meters, just in the span of 3 months. Now, during the past 3 months, the Muto Prime and the female Muto, they've been guarding the eggs, making sure that no one hurts the eggs. And when the egg hatched, baby Mutos are born, and they start growing and growing and growing, until now they've reached fully grown adults. Now there's 5 female Mutos and 10 male Mutos. Prime's intention is to find this threat that killed the original male Muto and get rid of him. But when they encounter Gojira, and let's say this attack happens, this fight happens in San Francisco, Prime will be caught off guard because this is not a Titanus Gojira. This is something completely unfamiliar to Prime. But she can tell that this is a creature that looks like the Titanus Gojira species, has kind of the exact same roar, and without a doubt has the exact same abilities. Gojira will immediately engage with the Mutos, and he will actually do a pretty damn good job of holding his ground. Let's say that Gojira has, Shin Godzilla-like abilities. And no, he does not fire any beams out of his tail. But let's say he developed beams that come out of his back. And of course, that straight, laser-like beam as well. The Prime will completely be caught off guard. At this point, she's convinced that she's fighting something else now. This is not a Titanus Gojira, because she does not recall Titanus Gojiras ever possessing those kind of abilities. Now, when Gojira does use his Shin Godzilla-like abilities, he kills 3 female Mutos and 7 male Mutos. Prime decides to fight Gojira herself, and the fight begins, and Gojira surprisingly overpowers the Muto Prime. Now, how does he overpower her? Let's say that he kind of used a Rex Bow Ray atomic breath. This severely injures the Muto Prime, and Muto Prime will, for once in her life, actually retreat from this fight. Now, Gojira would use his red spot any time for to kill the last of the female Mutos, and the male Mutos are just flying away. Muto Prime has to find the Queen Muto now. She's like the only Muto, well, female Muto left. Now, let's say that Gojira kind of knows what she's doing and gets a head start by using the Hollow Earth entrances to get there faster. He finds the Queen Muto, wakes her up, and kills her immediately. During his journey, he absorbs more radiation. At this point, Gojira is now 140 meters now. This man is now completely huge. He's like gigantic now. Now, during the final battle with the Mutos, Muto Prime will be completely caught off guard with Gojira's size. Now, Monarch would be wondering, how is it that Gojira is getting much bigger and bigger so quickly? Dr. Zarazawa theorized that the ancient species known as the Titanus Gojiras, they do get big, yes, but they take longer to get big. He theorized that this creature is not a Titanus Gojira, but instead some kind of monster that looks similar to a Titanus Gojira, and is able to absorb energy much more quicker, and thus becoming bigger quicker. Gojira will completely finish off the remaining male Mutos, and he will give Muto Prime a humiliating death by just constantly firing his red spot ray attack breath. Just at this point, Muto Prime is just dead. Now, let's say that Gojira does know about the other kaiju locations, and he actually does not bother with them. As long as they don't get in his way or attempt to stop him, or, not a threat to him, then he will leave them alone. Now, let's say during the Monarch Legacy of Monsters current timeline, let's say like in 2015, let's say the events play out kind of a bit more differently, and let's say the final battle in the weird place, because at this point I know it's no longer Hollow Earth now. I think it's like Axis Mundi, I think. I don't know. Someone let me know in the comments below. But Gojira will not show up to fight the Iron Dragon, which means our heroes might not make it out of there alive. Unless they get lucky and a different kaiju shows up and fights the Iron Dragon for them. Gojira will be constantly continuing his attacks, and with his new power-up, he's become almost near unstoppable. Now, let's say during King of the Monsters, Gojira kind of takes a break, and he's resting within the ancient city that used to worship a Titanus Gojira. Believing that Ghidorah might be the monster to stop Gojira, Monarch surprisingly wakes up Ghidorah. Gojira senses a threat, and he leaves to go fight Ghidorah. Now, when the two meet, Ghidorah will at first be kind of confused, just like Muto Prime was, but he won't care. And the fight would still happen, and Ghidorah will surprisingly overpower Gojira. Gojira is not used to fighting an opponent that's not only bigger than he is, but a bit more powerful as well. Gojira will start to hunt down Ghidorah because he's like a real threat to him now, and he cannot allow a threat like that to live. Monarch will also wake up Rodan in hopes that Rodan and Ghidorah will team up to take down Gojira, but they'll be caught off guard with Ghidorah fighting Rodan. Now let's say in this timeline, the Oxygen Destroyer is officially built, and just when Ghidorah was about to head towards Gojira, military launches the Oxygen Destroyer, and it hits Gojira, severely injuring him, surprisingly not killing him. Gojira very weakly will swim away and go back to the ancient city and try to heal up. Ghidorah will announce all the other kaiju and will wake them all up. This is where Monarch realizes their mistake and realizes that Ghidorah is the real threat here. Of course, they still don't know about his regeneration, but they'll try everything in their power to get rid of Ghidorah. They'll use Gojira as a last resort. Now, what about Mothra? Will she view Gojira as an ally or a threat? Let's say at first she views Gojira as an ally. Now, when she awakens, she sees all the destruction that Ghidorah is causing and tries to get to Gojira. Dr. Cerezawa will eventually sacrifice himself to save Gojira, so at this point, the military is unable to take down Ghidorah. Anyways, so yeah, Dr. Cerezawa's sacrifice will still happen, and this is where Gojira will start to see a little bit of good in humanity. Just a little, not a whole lot. If anything, it's like this. It's like this. Now, Gojira will eventually make his way to fight Ghidorah with his new power-up. Now, thanks to this new power-up, Gojira will fight Ghidorah. Surprisingly, without Mothra's help, Gojira will actually kill Ghidorah. And if you're wondering how, he uses both his Red Spot Ray Conquest and his Shin Godzilla abilities. And with this, Ghidorah's reign is put to an end. For now. The other kaiju will show up and bow down to Gojira. Gojira will let out his own alpha call, knowing and understanding that the kaiju see him as the alpha now. And what is his first command? To basically destroy all of humanity. Yeah, even if he saw a little bit of good in humanity, he's not going to change his mind. Besides, humanity killed his family, so he's not gonna forgive them. Now, this is where Godzilla vs. Kong will eventually begin. Let's say during this few year time skip, Gojira has almost completely wiped out humanity. The remaining survivors are just trying their best to survive, and Monarch's doing everything in their power to stop Gojira. This is where Monarch and Apex will unite together to stop Gojira. Because now they both got a common enemy. And they gotta get rid of Gojira immediately. And Apex will announce Mechagodzilla to Monarch. And Monarch will be at first amazed, but when they hear about the Ghidorah skulls, this is where they get a little bit worried. Just a little.